Life is more than fun and games. The celebration grounds were alive with music. Flutes played cheerful melodies, while drums echoed through the trees. Children danced between roots and stones, laughing as they spun in circles. Today was a special day. For weeks, the Nomads had prepared for the 20-year celebration. Food had been gathered, wood had been cut, the great feast pit had been built. Now the celebration had finally begun. The smell of roasting meat drifted through the forest. Near the cooking fire, Porky stood proudly with his friend Daniel. Daniel sniffed the air. "That squirrel smells good." Porky grinned. "It should." Daniel laughed. "Your dad's the one who cooked it." Porky folded his arms. "I still help." "You shot it in the leg." "I hit it, didn't I?" Daniel smirked. "Your dad finished the job." Porky pointed toward the roasted meat. "Yeah, but if I didn't hit it first, we'd be eating berries." The two boys laughed. Nearby, Chip rolled his eyes. "You two have been arguing about that squirrel all day." Porky shrugged. "It's an important squirrel." Daniel laughed again. "The most important squirrel in nomad history." Around them, families gathered near the feast. Adults talked and smiled. Children chased each other around tree roots. Several elders played flutes while others clapped to the rhythm. Not far away, Rain danced with a group of girls. She twirled until she became dizzy and nearly fell over. Everyone laughed. Rain laughed too. This was her favorite kind of day. No chores, no lessons, no gathering firewood, just music, just food, just fun. Rain glanced toward the great feast pit. Smoke curled upward into the sky. Higher and higher it climbed. The fire was larger than any they had built in years. Nobody paid much attention to the smoke. Why would they? Today was a day for celebrating. And for the first time in a long while, everything felt perfect. High above the celebration grounds, a lone scout sat among the branches. His lookout platform was woven between three sturdy limbs near the top of an old oak tree. From there, he could see farther than anyone on the ground. The scout rested one hand on the trunk and slowly scanned the forest. To the west, he saw nothing but trees. To the east, more trees. To the north, a creek glimmered between patches of sunlight. Everything seemed peaceful. Below him, the sounds of the celebration drifted through the woods. Laughter, music, drums. Even from his perch, he could smell the feast cooking below. The scout smiled. It looked like everyone was having a good time. Then something caught his attention. Far in the distance, beyond a line of trees, sat a human campsite. The scout straightened. Humans weren't unusual. They occasionally camped in the forest. Most never came close to the Nomads. Still, part of a scout's job was paying attention. He narrowed his eyes. One of the humans stepped away from the campsite. The giant stretched his arms and looked out across the forest. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the giant stopped moving. The scout followed the direction of his gaze. His stomach tightened. The giant was staring at the smoke. The thick gray column rising from the celebration grounds. The human pointed. Another giant stepped out from beside a tent. The two spoke for a moment. The scout couldn't hear their words. He didn't need to. Both giants were looking directly at the smoke. One of them shaded his eyes. The other pointed again, this time toward the forest, toward the Nomads. The scout's smile disappeared. The giant took a step forward, then another. The scout watched carefully. The human wasn't just looking anymore. He was moving, heading toward the smoke. heading toward the celebration. The scout immediately stood. His heart began to race. Below him, the nomads were still dancing, still laughing, still celebrating. None of them knew what he had just seen. The scout grabbed a vine ladder hanging from the platform. Without hesitation, he started down the tree. Fast, very fast. The celebration needed to hear this, and they needed to hear it now. Meanwhile, in a deeper part of the forest, Sarah, Japheth, and Seth walked along one of the great branch paths high above the forest floor. Generations earlier, the founders had woven smaller branches together, creating sturdy walkways that connected tree after tree throughout the canopy. The three children carried baskets filled with berries and fruit for supper. At least they had been. Japheth stumbled over a knot in the branch. Several berries bounced from his basket and disappeared through the leaves below. Seth groaned. Japheth, what? You dropped food again? Japheth looked over the side of the branch. Maybe it'll grow into a berry bush. It doesn't work like that. Are you sure? Yes. Silly, Sarah laughed. Before Seth could answer, Japheth suddenly stopped. What's that? The others turned. Far beyond the treetops, a column of smoke rose into the sky. Japheth pointed. The humans and their giant fires again. Seth squinted. Looks bigger than usual. The smoke continued climbing above the distant trees. For a moment, all three simply watched it. Then Sarah wrinkled her nose. I don't understand humans. Japheth shrugged. What now? They build giant fires. So? They cook dead animals over them. Japheth made a face. Yeah, that's pretty disgusting. Seth laughed. You two eat mushrooms growing on dead logs. That's different. How? Neither of them had an answer. The three children continued along the branch path as the smoke drifted above the forest. None of them realized that the smoke wasn't coming from humans at all. Far away on the other side of the forest, the people responsible for that smoke were already moving. The warning had been given. The celebration was over. The scout hit the ground running. He raced through the forest as fast as his legs could carry him. Roots became bridges. Fallen branches became roads. Leaves slapped against his face as he pushed forward. Above him, birds scattered from nearby trees. He didn't slow down. Not once. The celebration grounds came into view. The music was still playing. Children were still dancing. The feast fire still crackled. Nobody knew what was coming. The scout burst into the clearing. We have company on the way. The words cut through the celebration like a knife. The drums stopped. The flutes fell silent. Children froze where they stood. Adults turned. Even the laughter disappeared. The scout bent over, trying to catch his breath. An elder stepped forward. What happened? The scout pointed toward the distant woods. A human. A murmur spread through the crowd. Several parents immediately gathered their children closer. The elder frowned. How close? The scout swallowed. He saw the smoke. Now the crowd became truly silent. Every nomad understood what that meant. The elder glanced toward the great feast fire. A thick ribbon of smoke still drifted into the sky. Are you certain? Another elder asked. The scout nodded. I saw him looking right at it. The clearing grew tense. The celebration suddenly felt very far away. One of the elders stepped beside the scout. Was he alone? I saw two humans at the campsite. Only one started moving. And the direction? The scout didn't hesitate. Toward us. Several nomads exchanged worried looks. The elder finally raised his hand. Everyone listened. The entire clearing became quiet. Even the children stopped talking. The celebration is over. A disappointed groan escaped several younger nomads. Rain's eyes widened. What? The elder continued. Put out the fire. Gather the food. Prepare the hollows. The village immediately sprang into action. Adults rushed toward the feast pit. Others began collecting baskets and supplies. Parents called for their children. The celebration that had taken weeks to prepare was disappearing before their eyes. Rain stared at the feast grounds in disbelief. They had only just begun. Nearby, Porky looked disappointed. Daniel looked disappointed. Chip looked disappointed. Every child in the village felt the same way. But the adults weren't arguing. The adults weren't complaining. They moved with purpose because they understood something the children did not. Fun could wait. Safety could not. The celebration grounds transformed in minutes. Where laughter had filled the air, urgency now took its place. Nomads moved quickly from one task to the next. The great feast fire was the first priority. Several adults grabbed shovels and began covering the flames with dirt. The fire flared and crackled as soil poured over it. A few stubborn flames fought to stay alive. Then they disappeared. Only thin wisps of smoke remained. Nearby, others gathered the food. Roasted meat was carefully removed from the racks. Pea baskets were filled. Supplies were collected. Nothing useful would be left behind. Rain watched in disbelief. The celebration wasn't slowing down. It was vanishing. Her father walked over carrying a basket. Come on, Rain. Rain frowned. Why? We have to leave. But the celebration just started. I know. Then why are we leaving? Her father looked toward the distant forest. Because sometimes important things happen. Rain folded her arms. That's not fair. Her father smiled gently. No, it isn't. Across the village, hidden mechanisms were already being released. Large supports were kicked free. Wooden pegs were removed. Slowly, giant coverings of bark, leaves, and branches settled into place. One by one, homes disappeared. Entrances vanished beneath natural camouflage. Within minutes, the village looked less like a village and more like ordinary forest. To a human passing by, nothing would seem unusual. Just trees, just leaves, just wilderness. The nomads had practiced this many times. Everyone knew their role. Everyone knew where to go. Soon groups of families began heading toward the hidden hollows. The feast grounds sat several feet away from the village. To a human, it wasn't much of a walk. To a nomad, it felt like crossing several city blocks. Rain followed beside her father, at least at first. As they walked, she kept looking back. The celebration grounds grew smaller. The music was gone. The dancing was gone. The feast was gone. Everything she had been excited about was being left behind. A lump formed in her throat. This stinks, she muttered. Her father chuckled. A little. A lot. Maybe. Rain kicked a pebble. I wanted to dance. You already danced. Not enough. Her father smiled. Rain wasn't smiling. Ahead of them, the line of nomads continued moving toward the hollows. Behind them, the abandoned celebration ground sat silent beneath the trees. Rain slowed her steps, then slowed again. Nobody noticed. Everyone was busy. Everyone was moving. Everyone was focused on reaching safety. Rain looked back one more time. The celebration grounds were still there, waiting. She took a step backward, then another, and while the village continued toward the hollows, Rain quietly started walking the other way. This isn't the end of the story. It's only the beginning. Tune in for the next episode, A World of the Nomads. If you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, and share, and hit the comments. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, and what you want to see more of. Let's talk.